Hello world, welcome back to Agile on the Trail, and this is week 12 in review. Well, we started off mile marker 884 on Sunday, and we finished at 990. We did 106 miles for the week, hiked through the Shenandoahs, had some really bad weather roll in. Middle of the week, we took a 0, and our daily average is 15.14, which is slightly, ever so slightly off of the 15.2 mark. That's okay, it's an average. We'll make up for the 0.06, in the preceding weeks. Overall, it was a good week. I got challenged in texts by my brother and his wife. They were just wondering how many times I camped in my tent. Well, for this past week, week 12, totals 3 times, bro. Sunday, Monday, tent. Tuesday, Wednesday, we were at the Skyland Resort getting out of the bad weather. And then leaving Skyland Resort, we went and, to my surprise, instead of camping, which was the original plan, we, meaning Kat and Mike, decided to get a shuttle into town to get some cheap hotels to again get out of the wet clothes that we were in. And then finally, on Friday, we just happened to end our hike right next to a hostel, a bed and breakfast actually. So we stayed at the bed and breakfast. And then last night, Saturday night, we stealth camped. So 3 times in the tent. Now, how many times have I been in the tent this whole journey? I have to go back and look. My guess is better than half the time. And if you include tent and shelter, I would say about 3/4 of the time I was in a shelter or in my tent. Now, the other 25% of the time, hotels, bunk houses of hostels, bed and breakfasts. I am not counting Damascus. That was 0s for a festival. It wasn't really hiking from point A to point B. So I'm not including those days. But I would say about 75% of the time I'm either in a shelter or in my tent. And about 25% of the time I'm in a bed and breakfast, hostel, or a cheap motel. Yes, this past week was a little bit more hotel, hostel, bed and breakfast heavy, only because, well, bad weather. Anyways, I will probably slowly try to tabulate what the actual numbers are later. But in the weekend review, not bad. 106 miles, 15.14 daily average. I'll take that. All right, that is the weekend review. Heading into retrospective. All right, retrospective, week 12. Well, it was a week in the Shenandoahs. Started off Sunday in the Shenandoahs and hiked through and left Friday. Total of 6 days in the Shenandoahs. One of those days being a 0. Highlights. Well, we saw a bear. Check that off the bucket list. And, it ran away from me and, I got to see its hindquarters. That's the typical bear encounter on the Appalachian Trail. And I had the typical bear encounter on the Appalachian Trail. Regarding the Shenandoahs, they are a lot of PUDs, pointless ups and downs. Not very many views. Definitely lush green type of forest. And what makes the Shenandoahs nice to travel through? A couple things. One, yes, you have to have a permit. Two, you don't have to pay for it. Three, you can camp outside the designated shelter areas, but there are a lot of restrictions regarding where you can and cannot camp. You just got to watch for the signs. The nicest thing about the Shenandoahs hiking the Appalachian Trail is the fact that there's a lot of waysides, meaning pull-offs for the cars that are on Skyline Drive. And all these waysides have restaurants. In short, if you're AT hiking, you carry about a day's worth of food. That's it. And if you don't mind platinum blazing your food, you're eating at the waysides. You're getting hot dogs and hamburgers and, depending on the wayside, steaks. And so, yeah, waysides are great. Get carry less food and eat more normal food. What else? Nemo tensor. I patched it up 5 holes on the 0, and it still has a hole. Slow one, but it still has a hole. Now, several people have mentioned, hey, why don't you just buy a new one? I could. But then I want to see how much I have to patch a Nemo tensor on the AT through the whole journey. So I'm stubborn that way. I'll probably patch it more and more as I go. Because when it does work, it is comfortable. I get a good night's sleep. I'm rested, energized for the day. All right, so in retrospect, Nemo tensor, still a problem. I'm still having, chafing issues. I'm trying out some new things today, but that's week 13 to hopefully reduce the chafing. As I'm sweating like a gallon of water an hour, things are going to rub and things are going to chafe. Body glide can only do so much. All right. Yeah, that's it for the retrospective. Work on trying to get more comfortable. Yay. All right. Well, I was climbing uphill. That's why there's an angle here. My arm's getting tired. So I'm going to put the camera down and give it a short rest. And then we're going to go into week 13 planning. Hey, one thing I forget to mention regarding retrospective, Virginia is not flat. I repeat, Virginia is not flat. Okay, now let's go into planning. Hey, welcome to week 13 planning. All right, this is a special week because, well, it's the last week in June. We're gonna have several milestones hit this week. First off, today alone, Sunday, first day of the week, we're gonna cross 1,000 miles. Yay. Secondly, we're going to finish Virginia this week, possibly tonight, definitely by tomorrow. We're going to go through West Virginia this week and Maryland, and then enter Pennsylvania. And while we're doing all that, we're going to cross the halfway point on the Appalachian Trail. Now, I'm going to consider the halfway point being 1,100 miles even. The only thing that's going to trip us up a little bit is the fact that I am planning to zero out for 5 days to celebrate the 4th of July with my brother and his family, starting Saturday, July 1st. This means that we have 6 days to cover 110 miles total. Because we're gonna start off at mile marker 990. That's where we started off today, to end at 1,100. we need to maintain an 18.33 mile a day pace over the 6 days. For the week, because Saturday is a 0, this means it's a 15.7-ish pace. Our goal is simply, by end of Friday, be at the halfway point, 1,100 miles. That's where I would like to be before stepping off to celebrate the 4th of July with my brother and his family. I will be returning back to the trail after that, somewhere around July 5th or 6th. And then I get to play catch up with Mike and Kat, with Cheesecake and Hootie Hoo. That is the plan for the week. 6 days, 110 miles. A lot of milestones being covered. 1,000-mile mark, halfway mark of 1,100, finish Virginia, go through West Virginia, go through Maryland, and enter Pennsylvania. That's a lot of things happening this week. Week number 13. Well, I hope you guys are having a great Sunday, and I'm going to get back to it. Signing out.